What if Atlantis was never a city? What if it was never even in the Atlantic? And what if the reason 2,000 years of expeditions have come up empty is that the place everyone is looking for isn't off Spain or Greece at all? It's sitting under the warm, shallow sea between Sumatra, Java, and Borneo. Start with the source because everything after it is interpretation. Around 360 BC, Plato wrote 2 dialogues, Timaeus and Critias. In them, a character describes a great island power that sank in a single day and night. Plato never drew a map. He gave a story, a size, and a direction, and people have been arguing about what he meant ever since. Since then, the search has gone almost everywhere. Sonar sweeps off the coast of Spain. Divers over the volcanic caldera at Santorini. Expeditions to the Azores, to Malta, to the Caribbean, even to Antarctica. Every few years, a headline promises proof. Every few years, that proof turns out to be a natural rock formation, a misread satellite image, or a much smaller and much later ruin. Then, in the mid-2000s, a Brazilian physicist named Arizio Nunes dos Santos published a book with an unusual argument. Forget the Atlantic, he said. Look at Indonesia. And more specifically, look at what Indonesia used to be before the ocean moved in, a single connected landmass that geologists call Sundaland. Sundaland is not speculation. It is mapped geology. During the last ice age, so much water was locked up in northern ice sheets that the shallow seas of Southeast Asia were simply dry ground. Sumatra, Java, Borneo, and the Malay Peninsula were one continuous plain, roughly the size of India, laced with rivers and rainforest. Then the Ice Age ended. Between about 15,000 and 7,000 years ago, the great ice sheets collapsed, and global sea level climbed more than 120 meters. And here is the part most people underestimate. It did not rise smoothly. Geologists have identified meltwater pulses, bursts where the ocean gained several meters in a century or less. On flat ground, a few meters of sea level can push the coastline dozens of kilometers inland. Anyone living there would not have experienced a graph. They would have experienced the village their grandparents built simply being gone. Santos built his case on the description itself. Plato's Atlantis is tropical, absurdly fertile, rich in metals, ringed by mountains, and shaped by fire from below. Sundaland was tropical, volcanic, and sat on one of the richest volcanic soil belts on the planet. The same ash that still makes Java one of the most densely farmed islands on Earth. There is one detail that always gets quoted. Plato says Atlantis had elephants. That is a strange thing to invent for an island in the cold Atlantic. It is not strange at all for Sumatra and Borneo, which still have elephants today. Smaller, endangered, and surviving in the last fragments of a forest that once ran all the way to the mainland. Now here is the piece I think deserves far more attention, and it has nothing to do with Atlantis. Drowned homelands are real. Under the North Sea lies a submerged plain called Doggerland. For over a century, fishing trawlers have dragged up mammoth bones and human-made harpoon points from it. We know people lived there. We know the sea took it. Nobody calls that a legend. The same kind of evidence exists in Southeast Asia. Sonar mapping of the Sunda Shelf reveals the ghost of an enormous drowned river system, the North Sunda or Molengraaff River, with tributaries still carved into the seabed, flowing toward a coastline that has not existed since the Ice Age. Whatever else is true, a landscape people could have lived on is down there. So why is this not accepted? Because geology is not archaeology. Nobody has pulled a city out of the Java Sea. No monumental architecture, no writing, no bronze, none of the things Plato actually describes. And most historians point out something simpler. Plato was a philosopher writing a moral parable about arrogance and empire, not filing a field report, which leaves a question more interesting than yes or no. Sundaland is probably not Plato's Atlantis, but it may be an example of the thing Plato's story is downstream of, a real worldwide human experience of losing land to water, preserved in flood stories from the Middle East to Australia, carried by people who watched a coastline retreat inside a single lifetime. And that is the strange comfort in all of it. We keep hunting for one lost civilization, when the thing that was genuinely lost is bigger and far better documented. An entire continent's worth of coastline, and the ordinary lives that were standing on it. Right now, the shallow water around Indonesia is one of the largest unexplored archaeological landscapes on Earth. Almost nobody is digging it. So what do you think? Myth, faded memory, or something still waiting under the mud? Tell me in the comments. And if you like stories where the real geology turns out stranger than the conspiracy, subscribe and stick around.